Now, 5 minutes with Farwell,
where your business comes first.
And we are joined this morning by Faisal Susiwala, broker of record at RE/MAX Twin City, Faisal Susiwala Realty. Faisal, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
Very well as well. Thank you.
Glad to hear that. So let's talk about what's going on in our real estate market, Faisal. What are we seeing as we are now into mid-September?
Well, it's generally very calm in the market. All of that volatility and the drastic price drops that we have seen over the last couple of months have really just sort of stabilized. Even though, interest rates went up, we didn't really see the impact of it on the selling price of a home as much as was expected. And surprisingly, we're seeing sales volume starting to increase again. So I think, there's a calm in the market. People have sort of become accustomed to the new valuations. And a lot of the driving factors were, speaking of driving, gas prices. They've started to come down. So we're seeing that Milton, Mississauga, Brampton, Oakville, Burlington buyer coming back into our marketplace, which is great news for sellers.
You talk about those price drops, Faisal, and I was chatting with a buddy of mine about this over the weekend. And as much as we have seen prices drop through this year, obviously, year over year, you're still doing pretty well in the home that you own.
Absolutely. We're still up 30% over March of 2020. So that's a significant increase in 2 years.
You touched on interest rates. We know that they have just gone up recently. Do you anticipate them continuing to rise, Faisal?
I think that we'll probably see a little bit of a rise coming. And, surprisingly, they've given us that heads up already. So I think the market has already factored that into the valuations now. But, what we're seeing with these interest rates, it's really the central bank's role to control inflation. And it does that primarily by the use of interest rates. If inflation falls below their target, which it did, the central bank lowered the interest rates to help it rise. Now they're sort of overcorrecting it and causing this panic in the marketplace. But lowering your rates increases the inflation by doing two important things, which is stimulates the demand and increases the budget for buyers. So there was almost 250,000 excess homes sold over the past 2 years as a result of driving the interest rates down. Now they're overcorrecting it. So what we're seeing is the lack of demand, but all of that was sort of front-loaded, and all of those buyers who would not have been in the market or the investors who would not have been in the market were in the market buying. So they just sort of gobbled up everything ahead of time. So that's why we're seeing the sales volumes drop right now, but we're still, like you said, up over the last 2 years.
Okay, when we look at the economy today and we look at the real estate market's performance in the economy, a lot of people are asking the question about that dreaded R word. Faisal, what are you seeing? Are we headed into a recession?
I wouldn't say, you could call it a recession because, when you don't have growth for consecutive quarters, then that, by definition causes a recession. But I would say it's more deceleration. And what I mean by that is just slowing things down. And that is, again, caused by the increase of interest rates. People are just not jumping into the marketplace, so they've slowed down, so they're decelerating right now. And that's really what we're seeing in the market.
Okay. You published a book recently, The Real Deal, Faisal, and you talk in it extensively about your experiences in the past when we did see downturns in the market. Can you offer us a quick tip on how to absorb these downturns?
Yes, I've been involved, over the last 34 years in a couple of downturns in the market, and I can say that, if you can be sort of sound of mind in these markets and really watch what's happening in your area, these are times of opportunity. These are times where, yes, interest rates are going up, but the values have come down, so your payment will still buy you the same property that you were going to buy. If you're an investor, this is the time where you can start deploying your funds, because the rate of returns on rents is extremely high right now. So I imagine the next 2 years will be a good opportunity for people to get into the market because there is some settling going on.
Faisal, great advice as always. Thanks very much for joining the show.
My pleasure.
Faisal Susiwala is a broker of record and Canada's top agent. You can reach him directly at 519-624-5555.
5 minutes with Farwell, where success matters.
On City News 570.